riding the airwaves with all the queer you can handle. It's the QueerCentric, and here's Jonny.
Hello, hello, everybody. It is your favorite host, Jonny. Queerly Jonny, for those who really love me. I'm so glad that you're here. We have another great show for y'all today. But before we get to that, we have some things we want to remind you of. If you are in downtown Spokane, we will be doing a live show at Lunarium, which is the only late night tea and coffee shop in Spokane. We're doing a live show all about creating safe spaces and what an ally is. It's a live show, and while we do that, we're going to be doing tasting new teas that the owner went and did a little shopping spree, and I got in trouble because I obviously don't know how teas work, so she decided that she was going to school me. So if all y'all will come out, it's a great place. We go there all the time, and it'll be a lot of fun, I can guarantee that. And if I'm there, then it's going to be really hot and messy. So we would love to see you there. Check our website for more information on that. We also wanted to mention that we are doing our annual holiday photo shoot, which is our body positivity shoot. Last year, y'all loved it. It comes out, remember, the 12 Days of Christmas starts on December 1st. We do that shoot this weekend. It's all about being positive, about the skin that we inhabit. And so it's a bigger shoot this year than it was last year. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. We're very excited about that. And then last but not least, I may have said it once before, but we finally have merch. So please feel free. It supports all the projects that we do because we do it out of the kindness of our hearts. And then, other than that, we could live under a bridge somewhere. So if you want to go buy merch, there's lots of amazing things, hoodies and t-shirts and coffee cups, which I'm addicted to, and hats. So feel free to check out our website and you can go there. Every little bit, we love you forever. I'll say your name on the show, whatever you want. Whatever you want from me. I'll come to your house. We will do that. But that's not why y'all showed up, is it? Her newest single, Male Femininity, is all about self-acceptance and empowerment. But if you're familiar with her past work, then this is no surprise. Always willing to be vulnerable and to take us on her journey, we are super excited to welcome recording artist Queen Sir Jet to the program. Hello!
Hello.
Thank you for taking time. I know, especially when you release a single, life is busy and crazy.
Okay.
So we love that you're here. I wanted to jump right in with the single, Male Femininity, because it's such a statement, I guess. Can we first talk about what made you want to do this specific single with this specific message?
It's usually like the producer will send me the music, and it'll be my job to write the lyrics. And so I can sit with a track, anywhere between a week to 3 months, just like listening over and over and saying, like, what words come to me. And a lot of the words just started coming slowly to me. And originally my idea was like to call it The Queen, because I adopted the name Queen to my name Sir Jet. But it was the producer's idea to call it Male Femininity because I think I threw in the words like the feminine male somewhere in my lyric ideas. So that's how it came to be.
Not only are the words to this song very powerful, and I think so many people need to hear it and that it will help, but all I have to say is everybody needs to go watch this video real quick, even if you put me on pause, put it on pause. The visuals that are in this are absolutely breathtaking. In a minute, we're going to get to the blue gown because that's crazy beautiful. When you're going in to do like the actual video and the visual process, and you have the director and all, how does that process work for you?
Sometimes I put my input in, and sometimes it's just the director and the producer who come up with the ideas. With this video particular, they came up with the concept, they came up with location, but they had me bring all my own clothes. So
Wow.
everything you see in the video is mine. It's stuff I own. And I put it together. We had like a total of 6 different looks, but those were like the main 3 they chose.
Have you always had? I mean, if we want to go the other direction, even beyond the great message, though, do you always have this stylistic eye? Have you always had that, or how did it evolve?
I always had an idea of like what looks good on me. It was once I started experimenting with women's clothing that it mostly came together. And I had these very strong memories of like Sailor Moon and
Oh,
how like the outfits were like these lingerie based kind of ideas. And I said, well, what if I put that on this thing and see what happens?
well, did you have any idea? I know that when I was reading your backstory, that you worked with a designer for a while and modeled, and they helped you, I guess, give permission to discover yourself through that clothing.
Mm,
Is that where it began, other than when you were a child?
yeah. Well, when I was a child, it was more like, I had dolls, and the
Right.
dolls became the models. But then I became the model
Right.
at the time you're speaking of, when my designer friend said, "Have you ever worn high heels?" And I said, "No." And I put them on. And I was like, "Ouch, these hurt, but I look really good." So it went
Right.
from there, and then I started like going down Hollywood Boulevard and just picking out any kind of heel or stocking. I was like, "Oh, these are fun. I want to try this, and this, and everything."
I absolutely. I've said this many times, but I was watching some interviews that you've done, and I love that you say it's so weird that people have such a strong reaction because they're just clothes. We're the ones
Yes.
who decided who wears what clothes, but you are being an artist. You express yourself, and that's clothing is a way to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think because I look the way I do, because I have these like huge muscles, people get this idea that I'm supposed to look normal, and I'm supposed to only wear boy clothes and
Right.
be like that. They don't think of me as the same way they see like Lady Gaga or Little Nas X, because they're not, um, they're not huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not huge stars, but they're not physically huge.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
almost like we agree that if someone is more has a slighter frame and is
Yes.
then we may not like it, but we'll let that go. It reminds me
Hmm.
of Madonna's song "What It Feels Like for a Girl." The
Mm.
rules that we've been given, but that's why I absolutely love watching videos with you because you take it, you embrace it. This is you, and you're just presenting it. So I must ask about that beautiful blue gown
Mm.
because it's yours.
It's mine, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I originally bought it to wear at DragCon, but it was the 2020 DragCon, which got
Oh,
canceled.
yeah, yeah. Have you worn
um,
it prior to the video?
yeah, so I've just been saving it for something special all this
Oh,
time.
yeah. It's stunning. Has it been photographed for a magazine yet?
No, that was the only time I've taken it out. It's such a huge piece, and
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's like 3 pieces, and they're all very heavy, and the bottom skirt is covered in glitter, and glitter spews everywhere when you put it on. So
I like
it's a
magic.
labor of love bringing it anywhere.
I think some magazine somewhere better be listening because I think an editorial with you in that dress, oh my God, would be absolutely amazing. One of the things I kind of alluded to your childhood prior, you have said that it seemed to be easier for your parents to accept you being a homosexual and so hard for them to accept gender fluidity
Hmm.
and allow that. Can you talk to us a bit about, first of all, when you came to that point where you're presenting to your parents saying this is who I am, and what that was like and how that shaped you?
Well, of course, the non-binary, the gender fluidity, started when I was very young, like around like 2 or 3 years old, when I could, go to preschool and see the dress-up trunk and want to wear the princess dresses.
Yeah.
um, for some reason, my parents were like, um, I think because my mother grew up in a world where um, women were not allowed to do things that men did. So she adopted this kind of identity where, okay, if that's true, then men shouldn't be allowed to do the things I do as a woman. And
Right.
so it was like this like battle between us because she saw that I wanted dolls, that I wanted to wear makeup, that I wanted to um, wear dresses and stuff. And she was like, "No, that's what girls do, and you're a boy, and I'm not going to give you that freedom." You know,
Wow.
control freak. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Did just out of curiosity, did religion have any part of that, or was that just culture?
this culture, yeah.
Wow.
We were not a religious family. I didn't
Yeah.
grow up with any religion, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting about that is I've been having that conversation more and more lately, talking about how it's not. I came from a Southern Baptist minister. I'm his son. It's not just religion. There is a cultural aspect to keeping our children, under lock and key. That it's not
Yeah.
just that. Yeah. And the other thing that's fascinating to me, you've been releasing music for a few years now. I have to tell you, I absolutely love the Empowered Bottom EP.
Yes.
Because it's weird. We don't talk about that a lot within the gay community. Bottoms are still considered, the women and these weird rules. I love that you are just out there empowering everyone. So I have read that you tend to be introverted. What makes your art so extroverted?
Um, I think because, like I said, my art is just me.
Yeah.
Um, and when you perform, when you create your art and you throw it to the world, um, you're not walking into a big room of people and speaking to them. You're not even meeting an individual and speaking to them. You're just presenting it on a camera. And so I think for introverts like me, it's a lot easier to do self expression because um, we don't have that fear of like somebody's judgment until we press, upload. They
Right.
get the comment back, but
But you've gotten good feedback, right? People who
pretty
feel.
much. I've been fortunate in that sense, yeah.
Well, do you think also, I know that a lot of the people you have appreciated from the past, like David Bowie, people who have presented kind of a gender fuck like we used to call in the old days, but so do you think that I almost feel like you're the next step. You know what I mean? This
Hmm.
more, because you're even more out there doing the work. You're not playing around. You know what I mean? Do you
Hmm.
think, does that ever cross your mind when you're doing your art and your music?
Um, I definitely think that like I think people have this misconception sometimes about me that I'm doing it to be shocking or I'm doing it to be different. And honestly, when I try to fit in is when I just feel like crap.
Right. Right.
you know,
Well, I
so
mean, you have not shied away from talking about how the industry wants to label you, and they get uncomfortable if they can't make you fit in one space, and you
yeah,
are more than that. And I'm sure that is industry as in music, as well as people have said that you're calling out some of the porn studios in your song, but I'm sure it's all entertainment that you're just trying to express. So so they have kind of pushed back at you, is that right?
I'd say so. I mean, allegedly, the reason I was not um, booked very much in gay porn was because of what I do on the side, which is, I wear stuff like this, and they don't like that. And they said, well, we just can't visualize you playing the other role, which is silly because, like porn is acting. It's
Yes,
not real. It's
exactly.
not real. Just as much as the lines before the sex isn't real and the lines are not real. If
Exactly.
you're an actor and you enjoy entertaining, you can fit that role and still walk off set and put on a dress. It's like
Exactly.
honestly.
It's fascinating that they need it to be, and I feel like, and no shade to Hollywood, but I feel like producers tend to just have one idea in their head. I feel like it comes from that because they're thinking, well, we have to sell. so this won't
Yeah.
sell. And yet, the reaction you get to your music and performing and your lyrics, I think would say the exact opposite. That no, people want this. They want to see this. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that I'm sure that's very frustrating, but I have to believe that's got to change. You know?
I hope so.
There always has to be that one who steps up, and it sucks because you're like, no, I want it to be okay right now, but it's work. But I feel like the work you've been doing for the last few years is changing people. Do you feel that?
I do. Little by little, I've gotten a little bit. I still haven't gotten bookings, but I've gotten a little bit more accepted by the gay porn industry.
See,
And, I've sat down with actual directors and, um, tried to, convince them that, like, I'm still somebody you should book.
right,
And um, also, I do a lot of OnlyFans filming.
right,
And, I sit there after we film or before we film and I talk to these other performers. I'm like, what do you think of what I do? And for the most part, they're like, "What you do is awesome," and I wish more people could see it.
exactly. It's the same type of thing in all aspects of art, but I think like recently, all the controversy over people who do drag, I always
Mm,
think, but it's an art form. Like they're creating art. It has like you have the option of getting to know that person beyond this piece of art, but in the end, we're all just trying to make the world, I think, prettier. Really, you know.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to admit that I'm sure you get a lot of assumptions by looking at you and knowing you do music. So that's why I was mentioning earlier that I read that you were introverted, and I have to admit, I shocked myself. I was like, what? There's no way I read that right. But the fact is, we don't really know. You have admitted that there are times you question yourself and the decision, like a regular human. You question the things and what path is it going to put you on? Is that one of the biggest misconceptions about you that people make?
Yeah, people, they just assume I have it all because I'm pretty, but
Right.
it's like, no, I struggle just as much as everyone else. I still have to, like, balance a checkbook, figuratively,
Right.
because I guess
Oh,
checkbooks anymore.
right. Yeah.
um,
Look at it
yeah,
online and see where. Yeah. Exactly.
right.
Well, you were mentioning OnlyFans earlier, which actually a lot of performers can make better living doing that than some of these porn studios. Is taking this control back of their lives. And one of the things that I read is that you have funded a lot of your art through escorting or OnlyFans or any of that. What did it take for you to own your sexuality, which I love?
Mm, um, I never had a problem escorting, and I've been doing escorting since I was in my early 20s, and I'm 41 now. Um, the whole, like, concept of the empowered bottom thing came from when I was shooting my debut scene. It was with Next Door, and, like, I just kept hearing nonstop, "But you're just a bottom," and it's like, "Are you sure you're just a bottom?" And it's like, "Yes, I'm a bottom, and I'm fucking proud of
Right,
it."
right. Which
Don't
I
tell
wish
me who to
more.
be.
Right. I wish more of us would stand up and say that.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's like, it's your body. And,
Yeah,
like, do what makes you feel good for it. Don't try to impress other people. I mean, that
exactly.
whole concept is just, like, so stupid to me that people are just like, "Oh, I have to be verse because nobody will like me." I was like, "Bitch, they'll like you. Just find the right people."
Exactly. And it's kind of like I feel the same thing. I think it's, again, I'm so shocked at the industry pushing back on you because, in the end, successful escort, you've got OnlyFans, you're out there, and there's obviously people who are like, yeah, I think this guy's, or this, I'm sorry, I think she's great. And then they act like, there's a disconnect to
Mm,
where, no, I have proven. that there is an audience that loves me, and you're telling me that there isn't. It's this gaslighting, almost.
Yeah. I mean, you're always, when you're an entertainer, you're always going to have to prove yourself to somebody. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be like, well, I don't see it, you
Right.
know?
Well, I think it's amazing. You've also talked about how it's very limiting this heteronormative attitude that we have in culture. That's been you breaking out of that. And I
Mm.
have to say, I can totally understand that. When did you understand that there was this concept, this heteronormativity, that seemed to be so oppressive, and you just couldn't take part in that?
I'd say there was probably like 2 points in my life when I had to face that. First one was, I'd say, the first 10 years of my career. Um, I was always hiring people to work with, and they kept trying to image consult me. And they would try to make me into a boy. They say, well, you can be gay, but you can't be flamboyant. Or if you're flamboyant, you can wear sequins, but it still has to be a man's shirt, kind of thing.
Interesting.
So that was like the first time. And then I broke out of that when I started doing like Shout Out to the Lonely and wearing heels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I got into porn, I had to backtrack because they started throwing all that stuff at me again. It was like, why can't you be normal? And like I really had to look at it and say like, well, I want to do porn, but I also don't want to be the heteronormative.
Right.
And so like all these years it's just been this like push and pull of experimenting. Well, how much can I get away with but still close it up and be that person they want me to be
Right.
when I'm on set, kind of
Right.
thing.
I feel like you're so. When I look at all of your art, you're so successful. You should just start your own production company and just do, because I really think we dumb down when we listen to the producers and everything. They want to dumb us down, but I think the public is way ready. I mean, look at your song and look at the beauty that you create with each of your videos. That
Mm.
has to speak to something.
I think so. I think it speaks to a lot of people. But I also think people are shy and they don't want to, come out in the masses and say that somebody like me is inspiring them. But I
Right.
think I am inspiring them. They just don't talk about
Exactly. Well, then we need to give them megaphones because they need to talk about
it.
it. And the other thing that I read, your father, I believe, once talked about how all souls are gendered.
Mm.
With that, had to fuck with your brain, you know.
I never like, it never like, I couldn't agree with him no matter like how much he tried to convince me. I was just like,
Right.
no, you're wrong. He said, no, I'm right. And I said, no, you're wrong. And he was just, eventually just
Right.
walk away from each other.
Were you ever able to find a bridge between your parents and you, or was it just there was never going to be, a united front for that?
I think my relationship with my parents is agree to disagree kind of thing. Because at this point, we don't really agree about anything
Yeah.
other than we're all introverts.
Oh, right. I hear you. I hear
That's
you.
about it.
I always think it's the same with I understand that dynamic. It's same with me and my parents. But I have to say there's gonna come a day, maybe it's way at the end, where they have to see that their child has changed a piece of the world. You know what I
Mm.
mean? The fact that you spend so much time trying to empower others, are you ever fully aware at the power of yourself that I mean, that empowerment has to come from someone. Does it ever strike you that, I mean, not in a conceited way, but in a, no, this is the work. This is the work I'm proud to do.
Mm. Um, I tend to forget, honestly, on a regular basis. I get stuck in my routines in my everyday life, and I go to the gym for 3 hours, and I come home and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what to do now. But then I forget, oh, I'm also this like big star.
Yeah.
And I like I'm helping people out there. It's like, oh shit, that's right.
I mean, I guess you still have to be a regular person, but you know.
Yeah.
Well, I also love that, like I said in the beginning, that we do a lot of body positivity work. And people think that just means, like, because I'm a bearish guy. No, I mean it all. I mean from, the people who enjoy the gym and work out at the gym all the way. We have to accept all of us. And I love reading, you had talked about how you love your hourglass shape because of the way clothing features on that. I mean, that has to be just enlightening and opening your own mind there.
Mm. It definitely encourages me to keep pushing myself and just like seeing how much of that hourglass can I create.
And some people really. Do you ever wear corsets with your dresses or anything?
Most of those dresses have like the built-in corsets.
Built
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because you do have that V that comes in and it features these. I mean, I think that, like I said, that blue gown
Hmm.
features so well. And then you bring in, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. You brought in jewelry and the makeup was very thought because they were all connected to projects that you've already done, right? You kind
Hmm.
of brought it all together. Can you talk to us about why that was important?
I love Easter eggs and things.
Yeah,
Just watch anything I watch. I love to see all the references, and
right.
that's kind of how my brain thinks. I just like I pick this item because it's reminiscent of that. Like the skulls on the necklace and the first look. Those were very similar to the skulls from the Shout Out to the Lonely. That was my goth phase.
Yeah,
And the blue dress, it kind of represents my awakening and my freedom, my sense of freedom. But in a way, I've already discovered my sense of freedom in Empowered Bottom, and so I wore the same earrings and the bracelets from that video with that dress.
it's fascinating to me. The other thing is, I don't think we see enough of the art form that you create out
Mm.
there. I mean, there needs to be you, and you need to have an army of people doing what you do. Do you do a lot of public, like, do you perform much outside, or is the introversion kind of like, or do you do red carpets or any of that?
Um, it's not so much because of the introversion. It's more like I just haven't gotten lucky. Um, in this day and age, it's become, I would say, because of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I'm not saying RuPaul's Drag Race is a bad thing. I'm
Right.
saying it has kind of changed who gets hired to perform
Yeah.
at events because
Yeah.
the people are more familiar with the reality TV stars and they want to see those on stage. They don't want to see recording artists who have never even been on TV.
Right.
And so my popularity gets more and more difficult to get booked over the years.
Yeah.
But I still try. If I can, I can kind of thing.
I think please try. I think that there's such a visual aspect to your work that, I mean, to see you on a stage, would you ever be willing to do like to do this song live on a stage somewhere?
I'm hoping to, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm
So
hoping to do a lot of my songs eventually on big stages with
for real.
costume performers, sort of thing.
See, I love that, and I have to say, a behind the scenes thing is that you're with such a good publicity company that
Mm,
they're so good at
mm,
that. So I have hope. I have hope that that will
yes.
be coming up. Can we talk? You mentioned earlier that you have more recently added Queen, which I think is another moment of empowerment. What made you make that decision, and what has that meant to you to add that?
Originally, we added Queen because um, I was offered my own talk show. It was going to be like an LGBT talk show on an upcoming streaming network.
Mm.
And so we added the Queen to kind of like separate the old Surjette from the new Surjette. Unfortunately, that never happened. The network never came to be and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But at the time, I had already started releasing singles with Velvet Code and So Fierce Music, and so I was like, "Can you call me Queen?" at the time, and they were like, "Okay." And it's like it's too late now to get rid of
Right.
it.
And I love that you've added it. I think it even elevates the message you're trying to get out there, anyways. You know what I mean? It's like, gender fluidity and accepting who you are, having that full name, Queen Surjette, is like the word, the verbiage of that same thing. Like it's
Mhm.
showing that. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think that's
Oh yeah,
amazing about that.
yeah, because sir is such a like a masculine term. We always assume it's like a dominant male
Right?
kind of figure, and so like adding queen kind of like contradicts it, but at the same time complements it. It's the feminine, the masculine, and then jet, which is my initials. So it's like
Yeah.
a name that perfectly describes everything I am.
Exactly. And I love that. And I do, while we're talking, I do want to mention to people that they can find your music, including the newest single, on Spotify. Like it's right
Yes.
there. Yeah. Can I also ask, what can people do to support your art? Like, is there a website? I mean, OnlyFans is obviously an option
Yes.
to support and give money. Is there, like, I know the music industry has changed so much over the last couple decades, but is there a place they can buy the single? Is there, what can we do to support you?
There's nothing really physical you can purchase at the moment.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, if your local bar has performances, like, tell them about me.
Yeah.
Ask people like, or your Pride festivals, your upcoming Pride festivals. Do you want to see Queen Surjette? Because I can do it. They just gotta, you know,
Right?
get me over there.
Yeah, exactly. They have to ask. I feel like you're a trailblazer in a lot of ways, and that once you start breaking into those stages, it's like RuPaul did for so many drag queens, you do for music and art. We just have to get you out there.
Mm,
So I'm
that's always
excited.
been the challenge.
And it is and it definitely is. Being in the arts is a challenge, anyways, but it's never impossible. It takes us dreamers to just jump out and make it work. Have you found that I guess your confidence and your shyness has kind of grown out a little bit as you've been having your music career and the porn career? Has it helped your confidence?
Little by little, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Funny thing is, like I think the thing that helped me with my confidence the most was actually improv, like doing improv comedy.
That's so true.
Yes,
So
it
do
like
you do
transforms
improv down
stuff.
because you're down in LA, right?
Hmm.
So do you do? I lived there for quite a few years. Do you do improv around
No,
anywhere?
I haven't done it in a long time, but about like a decade ago, I went through a whole improv program, and at one point they gave me my own live show, and I did my show like once a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
See, everything builds on. Also, you mentioned earlier your age, and I'm like, I would not have guessed that. So you've been in the industry, you've been paying your dues, even
yeah.
if you look 30. It's you've been doing the work to get out there. What would you give as advice to? I'd say two different things to an artist wanting to get out there, and maybe they don't see themselves out there, like as much work has been done, you are unique and presenting the next level. Let's say someone doesn't see their art in the world, what would you give them as advice to find their footing?
Um, I would say it's not so much don't listen to other people, but um, follow what the voice inside you is telling you to do, and even if it's a total failure, just keep trying, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because honey, I can tell you the amount of times I have failed, the amount of times I fell on my face, the
Right.
amount of times I've been told to get off the stage because they didn't like the music.
Really?
Yeah. Because I performed for like at straight bars when I was starting out.
Ouch. Yeah.
Like, can you cut your set short? We have other performers who are more popular.
That's great. But you know what? I feel like it's a lot like doing stand up or anything. It kind of builds it cuts your teeth, to be
Yeah.
able to. I mean, it's a horrible experience. I hate it. But it makes us better performers, I think, in the end.
Yeah, so you gotta develop your skin, gotta get it thick.
Right. Now to the second set of people I want to talk about. There is a confidence and a bravery and a fearlessness, really, to being who you are, to just being able to accept this cocoon that we call a body and to express ourselves. What would you say to someone who's afraid to do that, but they want to accept exactly the person that they are? What would you say to them?
I would say baby steps. Like start with just like trying on clothes in the mirror, and um, from there, like videotape yourself or
Yeah.
take your selfies, but don't post them. Just see
Right.
what you look like on camera and see like how does it make you feel, and if it makes you feel bad, ask yourself why don't I feel comfortable watching myself do this?
Right.
And it's not usually because it's wrong. It's usually because somebody at some point told us it was wrong, and we just have to get past those feelings.
Exactly. To place any moral judgment on just like there's enough crap out in that world for us to get mad at. To place a moral judgment on art seems so insane to me. To tell
Mm,
someone, I don't want you to be comfortable with yourself and your path, I feel like that's when we know we have somehow taken a turn that isn't for the best. And for us, we always push community here. A lot of us don't have our families, and so, especially when they're younger, and I always push find your people, find your tribe, as we say, and surround yourself with people who love you and who you know you love. Were you able to finally find a community that you feel yourself
I think I'm still looking.
in? Really? I will say it's not easy down in LA, for sure.
Mm-mm. Or
But
anywhere, honestly.
oh, truth, and especially when you stand, when you're ahead of a trend that should be gigantic, it's lonely there. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Yeah. But I have to tell you that I find it brilliant, and it doesn't change that it's lonely. But
Mm.
and as you know, people send you letters and tell you what it means to them. Um, I think it's amazing, and I'm so happy that you are fearless, and that you keep pushing forward no matter how lonely or how outside you feel like. So I hope
Yeah, because the alternative is to get a day job,
right. That's
be an accountant.
none of us want that, especially creatives.
No.
No, no. What is, if you were to look down the line the next few years, what is that next dream that you want to accomplish?
I would like to perform regularly. I would like to tour. I would like to be that full-time singer and performer. Um, Not so much maybe porn or maybe not. I don't really care at this point because they've given me the runaround so much over these
Right,
years.
right. Well, I think it would be amazing. I'm still so surprised, but I plan on sending some notes. Amazing that the club circuit and these great, because there are some great venues out there. I'm still in shock, but I have a feeling that's not going to last long. They're going to
Mm.
come. They're going to finally wake up and see the artist that you are. Um, any last parting words for our listeners? Maybe something about you want them to know about you that you would like to impart.
Um, like I said, I'm 41. I've been doing this a long time. So if you ever feel like you're not progressing or things aren't going right, Just remember old Queen Sir Jet is still kicking it. She's
And
still
look
trying.
why you do it. Yeah. You make the 40s look good. I'm a little up here in the 40s compared to you, but you give me hope.
Ah, yes.
And never stop. There's not an age where, we're aged out of anything. You know what I mean? So always follow those dreams. Remember, please go and check out anything you can find by this. I'm going to call you a diva, the diva herself. I mean, because the music is amazing. I listened to it all day long as I was getting.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, so go to Spotify, go out there. And honestly, if right now the way you can support Queen Sir Jet is through OnlyFans, then do it. Find a way to, give that money, because we need to support the ones that are out there working hard and hitting the streets. Oh, I do have one question. Have you ever spoken to the designer, Christian Siriano? Because I would love to see you in one of his dresses.
No, I'm not famous enough.
Oh, no, I refuse. I refuse to take them. But are you drawn to his work at all?
Oh, yes, all the tulle, that flowing tulle it's very me.
Now that I started following you on Instagram today, and just amazing pictures that are there. So you can also go follow Queen Sir Jet on Instagram. But so I follow both you and I follow Siriano. And I love watching, and I'll just watch both and be like, no, that needs to be it.
It would be a good match, yes.
I absolutely agree. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be on the QueerCentric. We definitely want to celebrate you and push as much as we can. The minute you get your first live gig, I want to know all about it.
Yes.
So don't forget us. Remember, everybody, you can catch our show every Tuesday at thequeercentric.com. We're always bringing you amazing content and great queer artists and artists who are out there doing the work that we need done in this world. So remember to check that out. Remember to go check out our merch. It's going to be a good day. So until next time, everybody. Bye. Hey, Tom. Patreon. How's it going? Patreon. I am doing great. Patreon.
Wow, are you having like a stroke or something?
What are you talking about? Patreon. That's just my weird eye. Patreon.
Well, no, I'm used to that, but you're skipping like an old CD. Should I knock you on the side of the head?
Oh, okay, calm down. Patreon. I read this thing on subliminal advertising, and since we are pushing our Patreon, I thought I'd try it out. Patreon.
Well, very subtle. I'm not sure your version of subliminal advertising is quite the method they had in mind. Patreon. Now you have me doing it.
Once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. It's kind of soothing.
And if by soothing you mean nails screeching on a chalkboard, then sure. To be very clear, it's annoying.
Yeah, I picked that up. Thanks.
We could just be straightforward and tell people to visit our Patreon at patreon.com/thequeercentric.
But I was hoping to be cool and stealth-like.
And you were accomplishing neither of those things.
You're always ruining my fun. Fine. We can just tell them that we have different levels of donations and you get cool stuff on each level and even get exclusive things.
Oh, that's the attitude. Your enthusiasm will be really contagious.
Visit us at patreon.com/thequeercentric to support us today. I mean, I swear it's fun, and we will forever be grateful.
There you go.
Patreon.
Come on, are you serious?
Leave me alone.